I can't hear you, bro.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. We good. We good. I don't want y'all to be hearing all that clicking in the beginning when it first get cracking. So y'all, what's good? This is Damo, the political plug. I'm here. This is the chop up. Toya G, how are you?
I'm well, hanging in there. Another week with the people, week with the family. So it's good to be back.
Yo, and as you can see, Toya got the Chiefs PJs on because it is a playoff Saturday. Chiefs versus the Texans is going down. So we're gonna go ahead and knock this out
Baby.
so we could get to the game. But hold on, let me check on some things real quick.
Meanwhile, we think about different ways to start to show up and things of that nature. And one of the things that I want to do is give a thumbs up. Sometimes it'll be a thumbs up, sometimes it'll be a thumbs down, sometimes it'll be a thumbs up and a thumbs down. This week, I want to give a thumbs up to Michelle Obama. I want to give a thumbs up to Michelle Obama because she's not going to that week ass inauguration tomorrow because she ain't got to. And I really appreciate the way that she done threw the internet and the media and the political sphere into a tizzy because she don't plan to pull up. And I love that. I don't care what the reason is. Her birthday was just 2 days ago. So I don't know if it's an extended birthday. I don't know if she just is like, I'm not with that shit. Leave me out of it. She wasn't at the Jimmy Carter funeral or situation events. So, maybe she's just like, listen, I wasn't president. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gotta, whatever. And she's really breaking decorum because people broke decorum on her. But whatever it is, I want to give a thumbs up to Michelle Obama. I want to give a thumbs down to the entire political spectrum, all three branches of the government for what they're doing with TikTok. I just got off, and a lot of people are saying they're not even getting off TikTok tonight. They staying up like it's New Year's. They just gonna roll in and see what happens because there's so many different reports. We know TikTok creator, not TikTok creator, but representative, and I don't remember his name, but got up and made an announcement on Twitter on all platforms saying that TikTok will go dark. And wouldn't be accessible tomorrow. So that's what a lot of people anticipating. Then I got a whole bunch of, we know Joe Biden said he wasn't going to enforce this particular policy, but then we know that Donald Trump is tampering with the idea of keeping the app at least for another 90 days. All rumors floating around, but we shouldn't be having these conversations. And one of the most viral, the last thing I say about it, videos on TikTok over the last like 36, 48 hours is this woman letting the chopper spray on the fact that these people are, they came together in unison. Because remember, your favorite Democrat voted for this bullshit too, um, to eliminate TikTok, and it was upheld top to bottom, right to left, in
Yeah.
terms of the House, the Congress, in terms of the judicial, the Supreme Court, and of course the president signed off on it. But they can't agree on guns. They can't agree on education. They can't agree on how to get these prices down. They can't agree on the nothing. Can't agree on shit, but you can agree on an app. Fuck it. And I hope we outside that 2 minutes or whatever we supposed to be because that's how.
Yeah, we good.
I mean,
Nah, we good. We good. So, few very interesting conversations, kind of like leaning into that. We gonna save the eulogy for TikTok for a full show once that we pass that threshold. But in the meantime, in between time,
I
there
mean, in
is
a
an
roundabout way, we have to, and I'm gonna mention this again. TikTok is a part of the reason that what I'm saying the chop up show kind of ticks how it ticks. So we'll get there. We'll talk about it and cover some of those bases when it's time. But shout out to TikTok, man.
but we're gonna start the show with a Snapchat. We got a quick conversation to have with y'all real quick, just to get in and get out, just to kind of get the conversation flowing. So Toya, go ahead and take over with that one.
Did you have that post ready pulled up by chance?
Oh no, let me get that.
uh, I wanted to talk about a tweet or really an Instagram post that I came across the other day, and the pluggers don't get it pulled up, but the gist of it is interesting to me because in the wake of the wildfires, I know we out here in Southern California, Namo is a little closer to where the action was,
Mm-hmm.
Palisades fire, the Eaton fire, the Hearst fire, it's a bunch of different fires that happened, six, I think. Now we're in recovery, right? Everybody is trying to recalibrate, regroup, share aid, share resources, really figure out what's T. And one of the Instagram profiles that I follow to kind of make sure I'm in the mix with what's happening up in LA, if it's some events, if something I want to slide to, is called The Source LA. The Source LA. And this particular Instagram profile, excuse me, The Source posted something yesterday that I saw that I was on a walk and peeped, and I didn't know how I felt about it. Like usually, you see a post, you like, yep, or you see a post, you like, nope, and you do with it what you will. But in my walk, I couldn't decide. Now, here's what the post is a screenshot of. It's a screenshot, and it is a comment section from Instagram. And somebody posted, I'm not gonna say their names or whatever, but said their comment said, "I wish we would just gatekeep a few things." Right. And so people talking about aid, people talking about resources, people talking about, people getting what they need, getting connected to the stuff that they need to transition after losing everything. And somebody responded and said, "Who is we?" Right. I wish we could just keep a few things. Then somebody responded and said, "Who is we?" The source LA jumped in the comments of the post that they made and said, "You're following the wrong page. We are for the community. We hate the scarcity mindset." Right. And so under the screenshot is the caption from the source LA. This page will basically the two accounts that they tagged, and it will never be a gatekeeper. We are for the people at the source LA. Stop with the scarcity mindset. Stop telling me to stop posting stuff. People in need follow me with a heart. And it got me thinking, right? Because like historically, Black people, poor people, I don't know who the we is. When they asked who is the we, I'm like, whatever. But I'm not sure. But I'm assuming Black people do get boxed out of resources. They get boxed out of access. They get put in messed up situations to need help and to need outreach and to need resources and to need aid because people forget about them. And so, on one hand, I really do understand this desire to kind of covet, to protect, and to covet what you don't have when you finally do have it, to protect it, and to not want to just share it and pass it out to everybody, because that's been a historical issue with us, right? Black people are always passing around shit, right? Always giving out more, extending ourselves, taking our little bit and extending it as far as we can, and that comes at the shortchanging of us. And so, like, part of me is like, I understand that, I rock with that. I do feel like we need to be protected, but the other side of it, this whole notion of a scarcity mindset and whether or not it's good, and we really have to understand what a scarcity mindset, what the foundation of it is. When we think about scarcity mindsets, this is what the foundations of things like colonialism and what capitalism are, right? Because scarcity says there's a finite amount of things, so I have to go take it all or have it all, and I can't afford to give it to everybody else because it's so precious and it's so significant and valuable to me that I just want to get everything. Scarcity says there's not enough going around. There's not enough to give everybody. So I'm going to make you pay top dollar to get to it. I'm going to make you work for it. I'm going to make you fight for it. I'm going to make you prove why you deserve this thing because there's not enough of it to go around. This is why we pay for water, because it can run out. This is why we pay for food, because it can run out, right? This is why people go out and take shit that don't belong to them. Because I get it. It's over there where you stay, but gold is like not everywhere, right? Uranium is not everywhere. So I need to be able to go and get some of that and get as much from it as I can, because we understand that it's finite, right? So this notion of scarcity is what literally leads people to misuse, to abuse, to manipulate things. And it is that same mindset that has had people take away from Black people, right? It is the same scarcity mindset that has infighting within Black communities, right? We do feel like it's not enough to go around, so we don't look out for each other because we feel like we got to be about me, and mine, because it's only a little bit, right? And so, and we can continue to peel back the layers on this scarcity mindset and how it can really be a barrier, right? And the chokehold on the progress of people who have always lived in the infinite, right? Even on a spiritual level, right? Just like there's levels and layers to it. So again, this is a snapshot, but the reason I wanted to throw it out there is because I left that Instagram post undecided, right? I didn't really know what side I was on. Do we gatekeep shit and keep shit to ourselves? Or do we reject the scarcity mindset, let our resources flow, and do so for the good of the betterment, and to not be like the oppressors or the people who manipulate and are violent in systems? All the same. The plug. What do you think?
So, I think that we aren't really in a position in a lot of ways to be as selfish as we want to be, and what I mean by that is because Black people have been resource deprived, right? It has been concepts associated with egalitarianism and equity that has addressed and came to the aid of Black people when we are in these resource deprived situations. I mean, it's always this concept that the people who have stepped in, the people who have been helpful, the people who have, benefited Black communities did so out of this understanding of equity and justice and fairness, right? So if we turn around and start adopting like the selfish, the internal, like then that means that it justifies then that response happening to us. And it's gonna be more detrimental to us when it happened to us than us being like that to them.
Mm.
Because a large part of the reason why we can't gatekeep shit is because we don't have the quote unquote control over these things. What do we have to gatekeep?
Right.
Like what is it? Like what is it that we control fully to be able to say how somebody else got access to something? You know what I mean? So it's like I
True.
mean, we can get deeper into like the understanding of blackness as commodity, as a thing that's already being traded and sold and
Mhm.
manufactured. You know what I'm saying? Like from that standpoint, to be like we are a product of something else anyway. You know what I mean? So then to attempt to be like, well, we gonna hold this internally, right? We gonna be in control of who can and who can't. They like you ain't even in control if you can or if you can't.
Yeah. So
So you
what do
know,
you really benefit?
so when I hear the gatekeeping conversations, I understand what people are trying to do, but that attitude generally is not beneficial for what it is that black people need to accomplish what we need to accomplish. Straight up,
Yeah.
because
I mean, and
yeah.
dealing with, well, no, finish your thought.
No, go ahead. Yeah, I was done. I was done.
I mean, I'm just also thinking intersectionally, you know what I'm saying? Because you are probably black and poor. So maybe the things that you have, the resources you have, might not extend to the black part of you, but the poor part of you has to have some type of sensitivity to the fact that we're talking about people with nothing. Right?
Yeah,
We're talking about people who zero is zero. That when you start just counting and quantifying things, nothing is nothing, black, brown, whatever. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. You know what I mean? Like I think that we ought not act out of character because of the trauma and the violence we experience. Now, that's easily said than done, right? Because
right.
hurt people, and individuals who have traumatic responses to the lived experiences that our communities and ourselves, even the violence that the Eaton fires, those people experienced. I feel like they was cutting power. I was reading something that was talking about how they was cutting power and doing all types of preventative measures as they saw the fires develop, even as far as deep in Orange County and other places where the fires weren't even big at. The power electric company was responding to the threats of, you know, uh, power lines and the ways that those things kind of contribute to the issue. All of that to say, the people in that region weren't told with a timely enough manner to plan, to get away, to move around. You know what I'm saying? So there are already structural implications, barriers, issues, traumas projected on us. We don't need to double down on those, right? At a time when people are desperate and when we're already seeing the system be at play for what it is. So, just something I was kind of pondering on because, again, I want to end where I started, just kind of saying, like, I get the idea of hoarding and keeping our stuff. Like, when we talk about cultural appropriation, when we talk about, the culture in general, we talk about the leeches that exist around us. I don't know if you've seen the Roseanne video. She got a little song. She did a little rap on the song promoting Donald Trump. Got box braids in her hair, whatever. Now, either she making a mockery or she trying to steal and flip, some shit. It's kind of hard to read what her goal is, but it's already leeches. So yes, we should be more protective of our shit in those senses, but I don't think it makes as much sense in a situation where people are trying to recover from wildfires. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I want to say what's good to Emmanuel in the chat. Galaxy Goth XD is in the building finally during a live show, which is amazing to see because usually that's our second shift listeners and watchers. So shout out to Galaxy Golf for being in the building with us. Emmanuel said we need to stick together and share resources. Usually we got anyway. Period. Bottom line. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know who you looking at to give you a thumbs up or a pat on the head because you kept all your shit or you didn't share. But there are no real rewards for that when it's all said and done. The biggest reward
Facts.
you can have is making somebody better and improving their situation. Galaxy, we good. We're both handling our business, feeling good about closing out this month and feeling inspired that y'all are popping in with us. So we definitely appreciate you. If you're in the building, make sure you say what's up and also hit that thumb. Make sure you hit a thumbs up. Let us know you in here and that you rocking with the combo for today. But that's the end of my snapshot. Plug, I'm gonna turn it over to you. Let's go ahead and get into some of the depths of these other topics that we got for today.
Yeah. So really, the main conversation that I wanted to get into is something that's really been bothering me since the election. You feel me? And after arguing with niggas for a year about who's was better, whose policies would be more beneficial, Trump, Biden, Kamala. After really going back and forth with niggas for like more so like a year and a half, you feel me? The one thing that stood out the most to me was the confidence in certain positions, in certain realities, without having a full understanding of where that information came from, whether or not that information was valid. One of the things that stood out the most was the fact that while economists had one perspective of the U.S. economy, Americans, for whatever reason, had a completely different perspective, completely different understanding, right? The way that they looked at it was in no way, for whatever reason, like whatever facts the economist was looking at and whatever niggas was looking at when they talked about the economy or whatever they was listening to, it was coming from two different places. And I'm trying to figure out, and even as these conversations was happening, because I kept having to explain the same things over and over. What you're saying is not true, right?
It's just not true.
What I'm trying to figure out is like, damn, how we get to this point? How did we get to this point? And more recently, I think we have an even greater understanding of how that's taking place, given comments and the newly formed relationship between Mark Zuckerberg and Donald Trump. And how Mark Zuckerberg then came out complaining that the Biden administration was yelling at him to do things about COVID, about the misinformation that was happening around the COVID conversation. He literally was whining about how the Biden administration treated Facebook, given the amount of misinformation. This nigga Tyler said, "Happy last weekend of democracy." Shout out to my nigga Tyler, my nigga Tyler down south. You know Tyler, yeah. Anyway. But
real quick, yes, all these specific Southern California, Edison, all these trash. What's up, the Juju? What's popping? What's good? Thank you for popping in here and saying what's up, dropping some emojis on us real quick. Appreciate you being in the building.
Yeah, so Mark Zuckerberg straight up whining, complaining about how he was treating about the Biden administration when it came to misinformation that was proliferated on Facebook, right? Now, with Trump in office, him and Trump got whatever new little relationship, Mark Zuckerberg has came out and said, flat out, Facebook is done with fact checkers. Facebook is done with fact checkers. Now, let's take it back. Election time, vice presidential debate. What was one of the key moments, the key back and forths that happened in that debate? JD Vance whining and complaining about fucking fact checkers. Like y'all promised we wasn't gonna have fact checkers. And in my mind, when I first hear this, I'm thinking, who would be the only people complaining about facts being checked?
Lying ass niggas.
Liars.
Yeah,
liars.
That is a more appropriate way to say it.
The only people complaining about fact checking are liars. And for whatever reason, people like Mark Zuckerberg and people like Elon Musk are going around talking about the idea and the concept associated with fact checking is infringing upon free speech, right? Now, just to understand specifically what Mark Zuckerberg and them is saying, so in a video posted to social media platforms, Zuckerberg explained that Meta plans to scrap fact checking in favor of a new system of community notes, which users can use to identify posts of others that may have misleading or falsified information. Meta plans to roll this community note system out in the next coming months. We're gonna talk about the community note shit in a second. This is what pissed me off about this nerd. This is what pissed me off about this nerd. Zuckerberg said fact-checking organizations had proved to be biased when it came to selecting content to moderate, and added that he wanted to ensure free speech on all platforms. It's time to get back to our roots around free expression, he wrote in the post with the 5-minute video. Here's the thing. Who was the only person saying that fact-checkers were biased? Donald Trump and Republicans. The only people that was complaining about, there's no report that broke down how fact checkers was only checking fact. I done seen plenty of lying pants on fire fact checking memes for Kamala Harris, for Joe Biden. I've seen them for Chuck Schumer, for Nancy Pelosi. We can go down the list of the amount of Democrats who have been routinely fact checked. And this is the thing y'all got to remember about Democrats. They cannibalistic anyway. So they always on the Democratic leader's head. Always. Democrats are always fact checking other Democrats. That's why they ain't got no problem fact checking no punk ass conservatives. But here we are. Here we are. We're one of the larger, even albeit least popular social media platforms, but the OG. Because if I'll always let niggas know, Toya actually sent me my Facebook invite. You feel me?
And Damo's older than me. That's why this is
yeah, nigga, I was older than her. She was like, "Oh, I got the invite." Wow. So I was like, "Yo, so we in there, right?" So Facebook is the OG. But now when we reach the place where we're like, "Yo, okay, what we've seen is a lot of lies and memes trying to dictate reality when they don't match the material reality. Something needs to be done about that." Motherfuckers is complaining about free speech. So the first question I want to ask
and here, let me, before you even ask that question, here's my problem with the complaint about free speech, is that it is not against the law to write fan fiction. You can really, really like a thing or a scenario or a situation or a certain environment where there are major players, and you can choose to make this person a hero every time in your story. Write it, develop it, put it out for other people to nerd out about it and get into it. But when you cross that into politics and you start playing with real life, and not only life but death, that's when people start to get really exasperated with these perceptions of reality, right? It's not against the law for you to write a book that say Donald Trump songs fix, but that don't align with the reality of his track record. You can write something that talks about how a great economist he is, but he inherited the Barack Obama economy. Right? You can write a fan fiction about, you can do whatever, you can envision whatever outcome you want. You just cannot try to concretize that in a domain like politics where the implications are completely different. That's where you lose me, because there's already something built into the infrastructure of our society where you can say weird shit and pop and let it pop. But you've opted not to do that. Instead, you've encroached on a process and on a system that has to be handle with a higher level of scrutiny and with factuality. And that's what the scary part is that for whatever reason, Republicans don't believe that.
It requires a higher level of scrutiny. Politics requires a higher level. And this is coming from the people that tell you not to trust nobody. That you shouldn't believe the scientists. You shouldn't believe the engineers. You shouldn't believe law enforcement officials. You shouldn't believe judges. You shouldn't believe who. If you don't believe none of these people, why are you not invested in uncovering their lies?
That's why I think that's why maybe the confirmation hearings from this last week were such dopamine hits. You know what I'm saying? The one for the Secretary of Defense, Hesketh,
yeah. The Fox News drunk. The Fox News drunk.
The Fox News cheating drunk. The cheating lying drunk. Philanderer, if you will. Pam Bondi and all these other people. It was so refreshing to no, you said this and then this happened. So no, let's talk about this because this is that and that this and this is that. Yes or no? This, that, and the other. Now, it was also very disheartening to know that maybe none of this shit matters because we watched the same confirmations for Amy Coney Barrett and for what's the man name, the other
Brett Kavanaugh's
Brett Kavanaugh.
Rage bait ass.
We watched him get twisted and turned every way but loose about his alcoholism and shit like that, and they still let him stumble his ass up there, right? Every way but loose about her credibility and qualifications for this job, and they still let her stumble her ass up there, but just for a moment.
Talk about DEI hire.
In a world where people get their lies off and just walk away from the mic, get their lies off and just put the phone down, to force people to talk into the mic and to be honest and truthful about the bullshit. You know what I'm saying? That's, I think, why I love it so much is because there are no facts. And in those moments, we talking fact or fiction. You feel me?
Right. Now the question that I have is there an argument? We're objective, switch side debate and all that type of shit, right? We understand things from both sides. So if we're being objective, is there an argument that fact checking infringes upon free speech. Is there an argument there?
No.
Okay, explain. Why not?
Fact checking does not exclude free speech because, and I want to go back to and I want to extend my argument. This is some debate shit about what I said about domains and places that exist because governments, systems that are democratic, that function off of the goodwill and the credibility of the actors within it, functions off of facts and information. So you cannot have a space and place where the standard, the only like way that it functions or it works is based on fact. How much money do we have? Are we bringing in on the GDP? What constraints do we have on the budget? What relationship do we have it or do we not? Is it up or is it down? Is the military going or are they staying? Is the schools open or are they closed? Right? It is just really kind of that black and white in terms of having functional systems that you can't feel like the standard of being factual, actual, and truthful about those things means somebody's encroaching on your rights. Because, like, what the fuck are you really even doing here? Just pick another job. Just have an opinion. Just get a podcast. And then you can say whatever you want.
Whatever you want.
Without any, because this is my exercise of my freedom of speech. But if, in fact, you all were to come back in a few hours or a few days and say there was something you said on the chop up that I'd be like, damn, that was wrong. We've had people in the comments fact check us in real time, but nobody from YouTube Universal said you're going to jail. You know what I'm saying? Like, because it's social media. It is a different platform, a different space, a different operating and functional environment where the standards of credibility and qualification are different. Y'all don't come here. Y'all come hoping that we're speaking truths and telling facts, but there's not that expectation that we're gonna be on point and accurate every single time. If you have that, take us down a little bit.
Yeah, that's what I was about. Because I've been saying like shit. Whatever we say, fact check that shit. Go look that shit up. Don't take my motherfucking word for it. I'll be the first nigga to tell you that.
But you know what I'm saying? But it's a little bit more negotiable here. When we talking about the government, the state.
Yeah.
Right. Like I literally give a lecture, Dominic, where I talk about sources, credible sources, and doing research and stuff like that. And I put an asterisk on my government document and government resource page because people are so skeptical about what the government says and what they do and what is fact. Think about the CDC. CDC says 6 feet, 12 feet, 14 feet. Don't go outside. Do go outside. 1 mask, 2 masks, 3 masks. Wash your hands, wash your bags, wash your groceries. Do this, do that. They lost all types of credibility. Right? But once upon a time, it was just the undisputed truth. You said, who said that? Governor, senator, government agency, this, that, and the other. Who said it? It's the truth. But we live in a time of skepticism now where the standard has been lowered to where we have to constantly kind of wonder a question. Bring it full circle to answer your question. So no, it is not an indict. It's not striping away on your ability to have freedom of speech. It is an inquiry. It is a referendum on the standards you have to have based on the operating environment that you are in.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, I do think that because I think what's happening is, I feel like when you're lying and you're being fact checked, you feel defamed.
And yes, Tyler said fact checking is not a form of persecution.
Yeah.
Nobody's taking you to the state, like nobody's hurting you to try to make sure you're giving factual information. So,
but you feel persecuted.
A lot about you. Yes.
But I mean, but the reality though is fact checking is punitive because if you're lying, then there's consequences. You feel me? And that's why it's like fact checking is only a problem for people who lie. And we're getting in like these types of moves, like the re-election of Donald Trump, his relationship with Mark Zuckerberg, like literally like these types of moves are we're seeing a literal shift to where the general public, the general population can't agree on standard facts.
Mm-hmm.
This either happened or it fucking didn't.
Or it didn't.
There is no in between. Now, is there gradients in the way in which we interpret things, right? I think those things exist, but what I want us to recognize is this is a sign of a social shift because, and this is why I phrased the conversation as like Donald Trump winning the war on misinformation, because like literally people are becoming more and more distrusting of factual things, of like objective understandings. Like people are becoming distrusting of what we fucking know and what we've known for the sake of it. Now, I want us to, doing research for this conversation, I come to find out that there are multiple ways that information is spread in detrimental way, in detrimental fashion. You feel me? So what we usually typically hear is disinformation and misinformation, but there are actually other levels to it. Let me source this real quick. Let me go up here. It's a study entitled "Constituents, Inferences of Local Government, Relationship Between Political Parties, and Belief and Misinformation." Right, going into understand. Oh no, not this one, not this one. This is the one we was talking about. But we're gonna actually talk about how rage baiting leads to more people buying into misinformation. But in this kind of breakdown, understanding and combating misinformation, what they break down is multiple ways in which this shit show up, right? So according to the literature, the various forms of misleading information can be categorized as follows: de-information, malinformation, misinformation, and disinformation, based on the ABCDE framework. They vary according to the actors disseminating the misinformation, their intentions and behaviors, the content disseminated and its context, the degree of its distribution and of the audience reached, and the effect or impact caused or potential. Right? That's the ABCDE framework to understand bullshit. Right? I mean, if we put it in layman's terms. Now, de-information is a less commonly discussed category. Yeah, right. De-information is a less commonly discussed category where specific content is true, but the overall message becomes unintentionally false due to a lack of context or competence by the producer. So, de-information is where you're talking about something that is true, but how you're talking about it is creating a misleading context. For example, the way people talk about Democrats, the way people talk about Joe Biden, the way people talked about the economy. Yes, inflation was happening, but then drawing the conclusion that it meant that the economy was doing worse is incorrect. That's de-information. It's not disinformation because it's not talking about inflation isn't a lie, but the way that you're talking about the real information is done so to create a misleading understanding of that information. That's de-information. Then you got malinformation. Malinformation involves the use of true information with harmful intent. While the facts themselves are accurate, they are presented or are highlighted in a way designed to cause harm, often through mechanisms like what we know as cherry picking or sensationalism. Right? So, for example,
Go ahead.
No, my fault. Go ahead. It's a little bit of lag, but go ahead.
No, it is a little bit of lag. And I was just thinking, I had an example in my head because when we think about, for example, the police talking about how maybe arrests may have increased in a particular area or whatever, the logical next step is that because these people are committing more crimes or perpetrating more offenses or doing whatever. But is the truth really that you all have escalated the policing in a particular area, started to be more punitive and target particular people, stop more people, than justifying or creating a scenario of more arrest, and then feeds into that narrative when the truth of the matter is you've hyper-policed a particular area or a particular community, not that more crime is actually happening, which is a historical example of what happens every single day in our community and has created stereotypes of communities and has created stereotypes about what happens in them, right? So I don't know. I'm just kind of thinking and connecting the dots with what you were saying and explaining.
No, yeah, I mean, again, that's a perfect example. Like when people look at like crime statistics, right, and see black people overly represented in crime statistics, yeah, that's malinformation. They're using like, even though the data is real, it doesn't tell the whole story of a particular people, but attempting to use that data to tell the whole story of a particular people is malinformation, right? And it's malicious, it's insidious, right? It's purposely done to cause harm. And then you got disinformation, which is false information deliberately created with the intent to deceive or cause harm. This is the most insidious type as it is crafted with malicious purposes, such as manipulating public opinion or discrediting individuals or groups. Donald Trump talking about he won the election. All of the election shit. That was complete disinformation. All the lies about what was going on in the government, complete disinformation.
Mm-hmm.
Like the idea that there was a whether you want to call it some cabal in the government that was secretly working against Trump. All of that disinformation, and the purpose of it is specifically
What
just to
people are finding
lie.
out on Red Note. I was just saying what people are finding out on Red Note about Americans and what Americans are finding out about Chinese folks. We've been told a lot of disinformation about each other, right? Which is the bridge is being gapped because of the government. Now people are seeing the government been lying and full of shit, so they're pulling that cloak back and trying to repair some of that disinformation that's been floating around.
Toya, I promise you, like what's going on with Red Note, we're gonna have to do a whole show about. Cause
So,
like
man, I haven't.
literally,
I couldn't even. It's big, man. It got a lot of tentacles, got a lot of
it's
upsides and potential underbellies.
like the cultural connecting that's happening. I feel like is unprecedented in a lot of ways. Like the way Chinese people are responding to Americans being on like fucking with Red Note and coming up like we're gonna talk about it. We're gonna talk about it because like right now
Like,
we
like,
on
like Galaxy Golf said, real quick, I got to drop this quote because it's been the one floating around. Americans
yeah.
feel free because they get to have an opinion, but they don't have choices. You got opinions, you don't have no fucking choices. You don't have
All right,
no real options. You don't have the ability to
that's
self
crazy.
determine for
That's crazy.
yourself. Also, I just want to shout out Tyler. Tyler said fact checking is not a form. Oh, no, sorry. The other comment Tyler said the facts in 2025 is whatever truth makes you feel good. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like that's
Right.
whatever makes you feel good is the truth you're gonna rock with, that you're gonna roll with. I love the fact that people bought into the truth that Donald Trump care about them, and now that they bought them tickets to go to DC to watch that inauguration, can't even get in. Them tickets not good for nothing. They didn't move that thing indoors. You can't even come across the threshold. That's because you
Can't even
bought
cross the
into that
threshold.
man's version of truth. You thought he cared. He don't. Carry on. I'm so sorry.
No, I mean, I think it's important for us to understand the different ways that misleading information is disseminated, and it's even more important to understand this because we have the people who are in control of media, like the Mark Zuckerbergs, who are purposely doing things to make it easier for misleading information to be disseminated, to make it easier for
Yeah.
that shit to get out there. You feel me? Like Donald Trump's entire identity is based off of just flat out lying, making shit up, and we just reelected that nigga as president. So the second question that I have, and
Before you ask the second question, Emmanuel said y'all need to double back and hurry up and do that red note show. We need a bi-weekly spin back. We coming. We all trying to heal to this TikTok people. We coming. What's the second
yo,
question on my back?
uh, how would you characterize traditional institutions, how they responded to Trump's misinformation, and have these responses inadvertently strengthened his message?
How was the response? I think
How
week
did
over
how did how
time.
did how did traditional institutions respond to Trump's misinformation, and what
Mhm.
impact did it have on his message?
Traditional sources originally were skeptical, scrutinized it, scoffed at him, laughed at him, and then I think I got folded up and tangled up in his power play and the fact that he's a president, so you have to defer and give him some type of dignity and credibility to what he's saying. The fact that good can be blurred in with the bad. So if you're able to demonstrate any level of competency, people are like, well, you're not a complete fuck up. So maybe you are onto something every now and again. And also, I think there are people who are uh, one, I don't want to underestimate power play and the rubber, like, because the whole reason Donald Trump has been able to have a leading and have a following is people have been made to be afraid of him. People have come to fear him. People have come, through backdoor deals and through backdoor coercion. I feel like have found themselves aligning with his messages because either him or people he's connected to have been able to intimidate a lot of these sources. And so this is where we get into the conversation about oligarchies. This is where we get into the conversation about how money and power kind of work together and become super pervasive. And the fact that, we look at Murdoch and, the how many people really truly control our media and the news sources that we have. I feel like there were good faith journalists who tried to put up a good fight, who tried to do, a level of skepticism, who tried to give
Took
you a
them
dose of
L's.
something with a little bit. But then after a while, doing that every single day for 4 years straight, for another election cycle, it gets tiring. So you let your guard down. Then it's just like a weird combination of people falling asleep at the wheel, people being tired of trying to fight the good fight, people getting pushed out of those spaces, and people who are willing to lie being able to fill them in, and also the control of dark money and dark powers and evil forces and rulers of darkness in high places. That's what my Bible say.
Right.
Workers of iniquity. Workers of
Workers of
workers of
iniquity.
iniquity. That's what it is.
No, I get it. I get it. I mean, like I feel like what happened is that the media was so used to eliciting emotional responses from shit, like to get views, to get viewership,
Yeah.
that that initially I feel like there was just a complete underestimation of whether or not Donald Trump could do that better. And the more outrage there was for Donald Trump, the more defense it was for the bullshit that he was on. And it was actually a recent study that came out around, specifically the discussion that this study was about. When did this come out? I don't see a date on it, but it's on here somewhere. But this study breaks down the relationship that emotions have with partisanship and believing misperceptions. Right? With partisanship, let me pull it up so that people can take a look at it if they want to go read it on their own. It's called Emotions, Partisanship, and Misperceptions: How Anger and Anxiety Moderate the Effect of Partisan Bias on the Susceptibility to Political Misinformation. And what they uncovered is that while anxiety kind of creates an initial mistrust, the most susceptible feeling to buying into misinformation when it comes to our partisan understanding is anger. Rage baiting makes any group, Democrats or Republican, more likely, well, more so Republican than Democrat when you look at the data closer, but rage baiting makes a group more likely to buy into misinformation than if they were just given the information in a more neutral, less intense scenario. And we got to think about it. We got to think about it from the perspective of the best content is rage baiting shit. Like you and I, but we've always talked about, like, if we was the type of motherfuckers, like, because we understand politics and understand social positioning, if we really just wanted to be internet famous, we would be conservative podcasters.
Yeah.
We would be conservative podcasters because we know what white angst is and we know what to say to buy into it to make them want to listen to us. Straight up. And so there is now empirical data that gives clear evidence to the idea that the more rage baiting that goes on when it comes to partisan-based conversations, the more likely people are to buy into bullshit. Shit that's not true. They're less likely to fact check particular information. You know what I mean? Like it's people that's finally taking the time to kind of understand the relationship. And I think that's extremely important because all people focus on social media is rage baiting. Trump was all about rage baiting. And the problem with it, and as we see now, the more liberals rage baited, the more conservatives got pissed off. The more angry they got, the more likely they was to buy into some bullshit. The more likely they was to buy into some bullshit, the harder they is to support Donald Trump. While on the other side of that, Joe Biden doesn't get the benefit of rage baiting leading to niggas not paying attention to facts. You see what I'm saying? So it's a dangerous thing because what the game that the media traditionally played, Donald Trump took their playbook and is now 2-time president because of it. So
yeah. It's wicked to see. I gotta say what's up to my kinfolk real quick. Miss Ma'am is in the building. Welcome to the table. Welcome to the conversation. You know, it's always love in here. But you're not lying. And I hate that. What does it say about us? What does it say about us? Because in the same way, like Americans, just like Americans, because in the same way you criticize race bait, I feel like there's an understand I'm coming from left field here. I feel like there's a connection between the race bait we're willing to take in, or Americans and voters are willing to take in, and like our infatuations with like fight videos and shit. There's a connection there. Like, what is it? What's wrong with it? Like, why is that? Like, why have we glorified Zeus and baddies. And you know what I'm saying? Like there are so many different like crevices of weird shit that I like wonder about just us as a people. Like,
Mm-hmm.
there's no shortage of the conversations about this generation's like infatuations. Like there's always gonna be what a dark jokes. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? But like just
I'm a
how
dark joke guy. I just sent you a dark joke the other
you
day.
did, you did.
Like,
And but then like just I really took a moment and was like, there's growth, there's evolution, there's also just like this is vanilla compared to some of the other shit that gets, you know what I'm saying? Like to me, there's always, even in a really serious post, if you go to a comment section or a heartfelt something, there's always some people in there being antagonists, being skeptics, being
right.
like, there's just like, what is wrong with people that they feed on this negativity and love it so much and espouse it so much that it becomes so second nature. And I can't put my finger on it, but it is a frustrating vehicle to have to be on to navigate the world around us. Because again, it's a vehicle with tinted out windows and don't let nobody see out or see in in terms of
Right.
the fucking reality of a situation. You know what I'm saying? So it's frustrating.
I mean, I also think that like, but looking at studies like this one, we see that that accuracy and being factual aren't the main motivators behind the information that people take in. You know what I mean? Like it's like
Yeah.
I don't believe this because I'm invested in, academia or intellectual scrutiny or, you know what I mean? Like, or some grander political science. I believe this because it's convenient. I believe this because I like this person. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm willing to buy into this type of bullshit because of who's in front of me or the person that's saying it. And this one more study because I was like, this shit is really starting to piss me off, and I know I ain't the only one. So this study on COVID-19 misinformation, right, and people's relationships with their politicians based on what it is that they would choose to believe about COVID-19. In this study, what they explain is that Republicans' positive inferences about their local government's COVID-19 efforts can accelerate belief in misinformation, given conservatism's reliance on politics rather than science in their pandemic information disseminations efforts. In other words, if Republicans believe that their local government has positive intentions, they may be more vulnerable to believing politically fueled COVID-19 misinformation than Democrats. So essentially, the argument is that if I believe that the reason why my politician is railing against what they trying to tell us about COVID is because they looking out for me, I'm more likely to believe what it is that they're saying about COVID, even if there's no factual basis behind it. I don't need to see the scientific evidence because I think you have good intentions. And in this case, they being nice and being generous. But when we talk about what good intentions are in the context of conservatism, it's whether or not you push the cultural standard that I believe in. Those are the intentions that matter more. Not whether or not shit is factual, but if what I believe about the world, if you can make that evident materially, right? If you can possibly do or say anything to make my understanding be the material reality, then I'm willing to believe whatever you can tell me or whatever you want to tell me.
I mean, which is, I think the most terrible component of all of this is the cult of personality that Donald Trump has been able to create. Like, no bullshit. I got a new car and XM Sirius, was it XM Sirius Radio, whichever XM, it like came in the car, like, for a couple months or whatever for my trial. So I've been listening to a lot of NFL radio, and it makes such perfect sense that they play these commercials on there. But Donald Trump got a fucking cologne. For what? For what? Nigga, first of all, I heard you stink. Second of all, why? Why? Right? And it's because we've lost the plot. People have fell in love. It's such a cult of personality. You fall in love. And this is like where the good and the bad of social media and anybody being on social media and platforms and businesses and corporations being on social media gets like really kind of murky, because you build these parasocial relationships with these people. You feel like you know them. You feel like you can trust them. You see behind the curtain a little bit. You get to see more of their personality. And so you fall in love with that personality. You think these people have goodwill without realizing when that camera shut off from what they want you to see, they real besties, they real relationships is with these corporations, with these other individuals, with these packs, with these groups who have very clear agendas, who have a bottom line to meet. And so that's the decisions that they're making. You like them. And so you have fallen into this notion that they have your best interest at heart. And because they've shown us, you know what I'm saying? Like, honestly, you trying to sell me high school teacher dad, it just so happened that Tim Walz happened to be, I think, a very qualified candidate for vice president. But I wasn't, oh, used to be a history teacher and a dad and a football coach and a this and that. That shit is cool. But nigga, like, how was you talking coming up here if Kamala gets took out the game today? Like, you gotta, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
it's a whole lot of stuff that we had to see through and pass to make sure the appropriate people were being invited and voted into the proper positions. And so if I could take anything from sports that and connect it to politics, it is listen. I don't care how many people in that locker room love you. I don't care how many fans you got. I don't care how many TikToks you made. If you're not working for this system and you a coordinator or you an assistant coach or you a head coach or you a player, you get your ass out of here. Like, I love that they loved you in the locker room. I love that you built a relationship and rapport with the fan base. I love that. But it's time to go. Like, your time is up. You know what I'm saying? And there's a relationship process, because when the goal is only winning, you ain't got time for people to get warm and fuzzies to sit around. If you're not doing the job, you're done. And that's the same relationship that I think we have to have as people who participate in voting, who participate in edifying certain individuals, who give people screen time and whatever, is to be a better consumer of the information and of the facts that they come to the table with and giving us, so that we can be like, that shit was really cute. Go do that shit at home. You are now a private citizen. Congratulations. Welcome back. Somebody else's turn. Like, that has to be the audacity that we build up, but we can't do that when falsities are floating around every fucking where.
Yeah. So, I mean, get ready to round this out. We got to get ready for this game here soon. So to round out this conversation, I want to be clear. I'm not about to be nice about this. I don't know if I was ever considered a nice guy. I hope maybe I was at some point. I'm not this like I'm not about I'm not about to be nice about this. Like I will be damned if I'm sitting back and just allowing for the type of misinformation, the de-information, the malinformation to be spread on any of these platforms, and then it just be like, oh, it just kind of is what it is. Like, no. It's man, we going zero tolerance. Misinformation, malinformation, disinformation, and de-information hurts black people the most. Mm-hmm. It hurts us the most. When we buy into that type of bullshit, we end up getting the short end of the stick. Cause a lot of the shit that they say will be about us. A lot of misinformation be about us. All of the different terms that I use to explain misleading information, I can give you an example of how it's specifically used against black people.
Actual.
And I encourage y'all not to be nice about it. Like, liberals loved it when Michelle Obama said, when they go low, we go high. Michelle Obama don't even believe that shit no more. Yeah. That's why she keeping her ass at home. Oh, this is what ex first ladies do? I don't give a fuck. I'm not going.
Listen, it's very intentional that both, I think, Pete Buttigieg in his departing remarks to the district, the mayors, all of the mayors. He it's like a conference. All of the mayors got together or whatever for his departing words. Same thing. I think Joe Biden told to in his last address to whoever this week, right? They doing their little pre-inaugural goodbyes, and all of their messages were laced and laden with basically keep your head on swivel. What my grandma would say, don't take no wooden nickels. Don't be a dummy. Don't be a fool. Be able to discriminate between fact and fiction, truth and falsities.
Discernment,
like that.
Discernment.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. That was the undergirding message in every single one of those notions. And that's because we can see the playbook from a mile away. So I only say that to say, just like you told black people and people, black adjacents, people who align themselves with a cause that's greater and bigger than themselves, and it doesn't fall into the systems of power and regimes of terror and trauma that exist. Pay attention. Keep your eyes open. They hate it when we try to be woke. They hate it. They hate wokeness. But this is the time where we need it the most. You know what I'm saying? A couple comments real quick before we close this thing on that, because I ain't gonna lie, kickoff I think has already happened. We running behind. Miss Ma'am said, go back to the Greek Roman gladiator style movies or shows and look at how the citizens got excited about violence. None of that energy has died at all, right? I feel like we took the Coliseum type fights and just kind of slid them over to sport. So nobody had to die. You just kind of had to get your ass beat up and have, traumatic injuries and almost die, but close enough. Galaxy God said maybe Trump and Biden should fight. LOL, cage match style. I'll watch. Yes, matter of fact, they don't even really got to fight. Remember when, and I missed this shit, and I wish they bring it back. Celebrity Death Match. Remember? I want to see
MTV,
that. I
old
would
school
love for a
MTV.
creative mind. Yeah, I think all the time about how different people should fight and could fight on the Celebrity Death Match with the little clay animation. But that shit was brilliant. And I might try to get on YouTube and find some of that because I want to see some good old fashioned fights. But I would love to see that version of the showdown. We didn't get to talk about Nancy Mace. We didn't get to talk about Nelly and fucking Snoop Dogg in this inauguration. We forgive you, Chrisette Michelle. At least you made your decision not knowing what the hell was going to happen with the Trump presidency. They participate with this nigga knowing full well what he stands for.
After they said fuck that nigga, but whatever.
Come on, man. Tyler said, hell no, you never been nice. Amen, Tyler. I'm glad we don't have amnesia. Let's see. Yes, her tripping over Yes Child was dumb. Whole diatribe. We can get on with that. We're gonna save that though, potentially spin the block on it. And with that, you know what I'm saying? Exactly, Emmanuel. You know what time it is. Emmanuel say, since my Steelers won't be representing the AFC, go Chiefs. We love it. In the unfortunate event, I'm knocking on all the wood I can that my Chiefs are not surviving the Titans, which is fucking ludicrous. All hell Lamar. We riding that wave all the way. Okay, so that's my plan, my agenda. Plug parting words before we get up off this thing.
All right, AFC playoff predictions real quick. Chiefs over the Texans. I hate to say it because I want it the other way around, but Ravens over the Bills.
Yeah, okay.
Ravens over the Bills. Sorry, Lions over the Commanders. Don't see it happening.
Jaden got to wait his turn, but it's coming.
Yeah. Lions over the Commanders. And I hate to say it. I'm in LA, but Philly over the Rams, man. Philly over the Rams. I can't. Saquon. Like you, there's no, you know what I'm saying? So Philly over the Rams. So
Saquon is a bad man, and I want him to be successful, but I don't know. I've been looking at this Rams team at the corner of my eye, like, Kyron Williams, why you be doing like that? What you be doing? Why you
because even though I'm voting, I'm going like like Lee Horse, like of course like this is the team that you expect to win, right? Because it's hard to see them losing.
Yeah.
Sean McVay is a much better coach than Nick Sirianni, though.
I think so.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, I mean, but everywhere else, when you look at tools, or we whatever. This ain't a football show, but with that being said.
Galaxy God, we so happy you joined us in real time. We're gonna try to. I can't make no promises about midday shows, but whenever we do it, please join us again. Hit that thumb if you haven't. Hit that bell if you haven't. Emmanuel, Miss Ma'am, Tyler. Who else was up in here? I think Jay Universe popped in here for a little bit. Juju, if you're still in here, thank you so much for popping in. It's love, it's family time, and we're so grateful that you decided to spend it with us. We getting back into the swing. I start teaching again. Plug go back to classes again. The shit's about to be cracking, but we're not losing no steps. We still locking in with the Chop Nation, and we get ready for a beautiful spring, a beautiful rest of the winter.
Yeah, I started class. I'm back in class this week.
Back at it. Man, back at it. So we love y'all. Be good. Be safe. Hey, bro, go back to talking about the disrespect is over. It's love to y'all, Chop Nation. It's been real. Happy Saturday. Be good. Be yourself. And others. Shout out to Jerry Springer. Peace out.
Peace. All right, perfect.